Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Bring It. Filling in this week, I'm going to be your host, Andrew, and we have a full panel with me. We have the OG himself. We have Freddie in the house here to talk some Lakers, some Kobe, NBA play-in, playoffs. We have the original partner with y'all of mine. We have Ray. He's in the house. Felix is in the house. And new to Bring It, Mike. What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
So before we get into everything that we have planned for tonight's fully loaded episode, I want to start off just talking about this LeBron injury. We got Freddie on, diehard Lakers fan, as everyone knows who watches the ASAP network. So Freddie, I'm going to go right to you and ask you, how serious is this LeBron injury to the Lakers?
First off, I want to applaud you on your introduction when you called me the OG. You know, I think I'm gonna rank you top of the board of the moderators here at the network now. So you got the blessing. Ray, take notes from him. So that's all I'm saying. But that injury is not serious at all. Frank Vogel already said he's fine. He's gonna be good. We seen LeBron on the sideline laughing and smiling. I mean, it's nothing big, like bro. Like people need to stop making big news about this dude. Like if this dude tears a toenail, everybody want to go into a state of an emergency. Everybody want to start panicking. Like, bro, the brakes just a touch. Like,
but how much of a state of emergency are the Lakers in right now? Now that he already missed a month, over a month due to his last injury.
We are in a state of emergency.
They fell out of contention. They're in the play-in now versus Golden State, who might be arguably the hottest team in the NBA, definitely the hottest team in the West right now. Stephen Curry won the scoring title last night.
Yes,
amazing performance. How much of that is a worry to the Lakers?
We are in a state of emergency, but not for a bad way, for a good way. We've got rest. LeBron is rested. AD's rested because they about to go on a battle of a lifetime. I know Felix is about to come up here and feed you guys some kind of.
No, it's just he got enough rest, whereas though AD can't make more than what? How many points did he have last night? 6, 8?
No, 14. No, 14.
14. Yeah. And what's the normal average?
It don't matter. It's the Pelicans without Zion Williamson.
Across the line. Oh, my bad. I crossed the line.
Hey.
Felix, lay it out for him, Felix. Give it to him straight right now.
I'm just letting you know. I mean, you take a big rest, you ain't going to make that many points. LeBron looked like he missed a couple steps last night.
LeBron missed more than a couple steps, missed more than a couple games. I'm so glad Freddie's here because the last time I saw Freddie said that the Lakers did this all on purpose just to rest LeBron. Barely even made it into the play-in. And now to go face Golden State, so that great strategy. I got to call you out on that, Freddie. Let's hear about that strategy of yours.
I just got a quick question too. On top of that, last year LeBron wanted to play in tournament. This year he's in it and he's complaining about it.
Yeah, he said whoever came up with it should be fired.
Yeah. Well, karma. This is karma right here.
Two-way street right here.
This is karma.
Listen here. I don't care what y'all saying. Y'all not gonna team up on me, gang up on me, try to tackle me down today. But I'm gonna tell you like this: it don't matter who we playing. The Warriors, Clippers, Bulls of the 80. It don't matter who we playing.
You're setting yourself up.
It don't matter who we playing as long as
up.
LeBron James and Anthony Davis healthy.
Hey,
like this show say, what's the name of this show? Bring it.
Hey, like when the show says bring it, when the other team bring it and the Lakers don't respond and they get kicked out, then what happens to Freddie? Freddie disappears.
Right. Let me ask you a question.
He's going to hibernate.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Who's the number one defensive team in the NBA this year?
Who the Lakers are? I can tell you that. But I'm gonna tell you what, they have to be. They have to be that number one ranked team right now. Because I'm gonna tell you what, this is how you stop the Lakers. And I'm gonna tell you exactly, Frank, how, and this is how they try to stop the Chicago Bulls. You let Michael Jordan, all them scoring for Chicago. You know, you take the Lakers, you let AD and all them score, and you stop the support play. If you stop the support plays, you stop the Lakers. Point blank.
So you think it's possible to stop the support play when LeBron James, that locomotive is going downhill, and he's going to make it easy for the others?
I'm gonna tell you what,
possible.
LeBron James gives away with a lot of LeBron James give away a lot of offensive fouls when he dips his shoulders, and the referees don't call it. The referees let him play like that. He's gonna play bully ball. That's basically what LeBron's game is: bully ball. Exactly. But but the referee calls within the rule books against LeBron James. LeBron James tunes up and cries like a little crybaby.
So, Mike, let me ask you a question, Mike. How much does it do these seedings actually matter? Now that the play-ins are here, the playoffs are coming up. The Lakers are in. Does it matter that they're in the play-in, or does it not even matter? They're the Lakers, and they're the team to still beat.
For me, it matters a lot, and I think a big part of it is, and I know Freddie could say this is still LeBron James. I don't care about year 17. For me, it's all about the end goal, and I'm not saying Freddie, your first round exit, it's gone. For me, it's not only are you going up against Stephen Curry, who's hot. Everyone on that Golden State team is getting hot. Then you potentially have to go up against someone like Utah at some point, the Clippers. You have to face the Suns, whatever the seeding ends up being. You have to go through all of those guys just to get all the way to the Nets. And I'm not saying LeBron James can't take these guys on. I'm not saying he can't beat them.
What are you saying then?
I'm saying by the time he gets to the Nets, he's going to be exhausted.
Who said the Nets going to make it?
Huh?
Who said the Nets going to make it?
Everybody and their mama, Freddie.
Nah.
But guess what? Did everybody and their mama say the Clippers going to make it last year? You know what happened?
Yeah, it's a different breed, and you know.
I'm not scared of the Clippers at all. Let's see what the Knicks did to the Clippers.
Certified. I'm telling you.
What happened last Sunday when the Knicks played the Clippers? I'm not afraid of the Clippers at all.
Exactly.
So watch out for my Knicks, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, okay. I'm D-Rose fan all day. I'm already ready for him.
There we go. So now we're gonna jump into the first topic of what was planned for the show, and I'm glad Freddie's here for this one as well. So I'm on Freddie to take this one. This weekend was a very special weekend, very somber weekend all across for the league, as there were several legends. Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan were enshrined into the Hall of Fame, but it was Kobe Bryant's weekend, and Michael Jordan enshrined him. His wife delivered an unbelievable, tear-jerking speech. And before we get into all things Kobe, I want you to give everyone a little recap of what you took away from that.
Man, first off, rest in peace to him, his daughter, and like I said before, to everybody else that was on that helicopter crash. Not just Kobe and his daughter, but the rest of them, because they lost loved ones as well. But to me, what was the coolest thing is, outside of Vanessa, I mean, his wife was just amazing. Like, just think about it, man. Just your wife going up there, paying you a tribute, your daughter putting on your jacket. Like, that takes a strong woman to be able to do. But the most amazing thing to me was to finally see Michael Jordan come out of a shell, finally come out and be – in an appearance and, say, okay, I'm that big brother. I'm gonna be here for my brother because I don't care what nobody say. There's nobody that's ever been Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is nobody ever got close to being Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is, so to some folks, he's the GOAT. But I think we all can agree that the only person that came close to touching Michael Jordan game was Kobe. Kobe, from a young age, wanted to be like Jordan. He wanted to talk like Jordan. He wanted to breathe like Jordan. He wanted to act like him. This dude wanted to be Jordan. And he came pretty doggone close to being him. But that to me is, was just so amazing to see. And just to hear so many stories about the guy. And, man, hey, shout out to that whole class of the Hall of Fame. And you can make an argument that's the best Hall of Fame class in the NBA.
100%. 100%. And you mentioned how Kobe strived to be the next Jordan. So I'm going to lead to Ray. Ray, where does Kobe rank all time in the NBA? Not amongst guards, all time. So we have to take we have to take Wilt into account. We have to take Bill Russell all the time. Where does Kobe rank?
Be respectful.
Well, to me, I had Bill Russell ranked number 1. I had Michael Jordan ranked number 2. I had Kobe Bryant ranked number 3.
Who's your Mount Rushmore? Who's your fourth then?
That's gonna be. Well, you got to put LeBron up there. I'll put LeBron after Kobe.
That pains you to say.
No, it doesn't pain me to say. I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you objectively who I thought. I'm a Jordan fan because I was born in North Carolina. I was raised on Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was my role model growing up. I watched Michael Jordan play from high school all the way to college, all the way to NBA. I have been to every game. Some of the games he's been in North Carolina, I've been in person of his game. I went to the 1982 National Championship in New Orleans, so I know what Michael Jordan can do. But I think Bill Russell is a little bit up there because Bill Russell has undoubtedly done 11 championships of the NBA. I mean, it's unstoppable. I mean, nobody has broken that record. I mean, Michael could have played. He might have been up there a little bit more closer. But Bill Russell, you got to put him up there. He's a shot blocker, and he helped that Celtics team to win those championships. Then you got Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan alleviated the game from what Dr. J had it. He made it a little bit more, and then Michael Jordan's one that brought the actual commercials into the NBA to where the NBA players are getting what they are getting right now. So then you got Kobe. And the only why I put Kobe underneath Michael Jordan is because Kobe Bryant's game is modeled after Michael Jordan. And with Kobe, and I'm going to tell you something, Kobe really hurt me when Charlotte drafted him. He said he wasn't going to play for him. So that's why Charlotte had to go and get all these drafts to put him out to the LA. That kind of a little bit light a fire on me why I really don't like Kobe. But, over the years, I got, that level out of the way because when Charlotte left, that whole franchise stayed and they come back. So now Kobe right now is under Michael Jordan because if you watch what Kobe does, Kobe is a footprint of Michael Jordan. He's got the same turnaround as Michael. He's got the same moves as Michael. And one thing I can praise about Kobe Bryant is if you ever watch Kobe when he played against Michael Jordan, he was always, when he's at the free throw line, he was always by Michael Jordan's ear, and Michael Jordan didn't hesitate to tell him what was going on. Well, how he played this situation, how he played this situation. So then you got LeBron. See, when I pick the best players, I really don't like picking them all times because when I go with my players, I go by eras. That's how you pick your players.
Fair enough, and I can understand that.
Because one thing is, Michael Jordan, you can't compare it to a center because Michael Jordan didn't play center. You can't compare him to LeBron James because LeBron James plays a power forward. Even though they say he plays a shooting guard, but he doesn't play a shooting guard. He plays a power forward. That's the way he's been playing. You can't put it big. He didn't play a forward. Michael Jordan played a shooting guard, so you had to rank him the best between the shooting guards, but you always got to rank him by the eras. And that's why the NBA, that's why these analysts are trying to rank everybody else, and that's why you get all these fights about it. If you put him by the eras, then you got nothing. You got Kobe Bryant's GOAT after Jordan left. He became that GOAT for that era. When then Kobe turned it over to LeBron. Now LeBron's the GOAT all the way up to when he gets ready to go. So who's LeBron's going to pass that to the baton on? So, I mean, all-time ranking, I can't really say how I do it, but I do it by eras because that's the best. That's the only way you can do it.
I like that.
That hurts you so much. That took so much out of you.
So
no,
Ray, for you,
I'm objective.
Is it the 11 rings for you why Russell is number one, hands down?
No, Bill Russell was. If you watch Bill Russell play, Bill Russell was a man among men. He was that dominant player. He was like a Shaquille type dominant player. He was a little bit better than Shaquille because he could do a little bit more down in the low post than Shaquille, but he can also hit them foul shots. So Bill Russell was a giant among men, and he was just a dominant player in that time frame.
Ray, can I ask you something real quick though?
Yep.
Do you think he'd be like that today?
No, absolutely not.
No, because
a lot of people don't know this. Bill Russell was also only about 6'9".
That's my point. Like it really, he's a man amongst men, but he was also a man amongst janitors. Like these guys
you gotta.
Damn.
That's what This is what you also got. That's why you got to go by eras. You can't go by with the today, who's the days and all that. You can't do that because everybody played a different style, everything, and the rules have changed as the years have gone on. Right. Michael Jordan didn't play when the era with hand checking, or you can't put a body on somebody really. If you put the double elbow on somebody, you're going to get either offensive foul or you're going to get and they got the era of flopping. I mean, Michael Jordan, his later career began that, playing that flop era. So, as rules change and as the players change and the different styles, you cannot go back into the early 50s all the way up now and find that player who can play in today's NBA because everybody plays in different styles. Michael Jordan played in a physical style coming from Magic Johnson all the way up to now till they, into the 90s when they started coming up with some other, rules that they want to change. And then they don't even call walking. Back then they called walking.
So Ray, so I'm going to come back to my first question. Is it the rings why you're picking Bill over Wilt Chamberlain, who statistically is better than Bill Russell, with the exception of the championship?
Now, that's one of the criteria that I have. Yes.
Okay.
That's one of the criteria, because if you look at Bill, if you look at Wilt Chamberlain, Wilt Chamberlain didn't have as many championships as Bill Russell. So if you go down by the stats, Wilt had gotten Bill Russell this, but then you got to check the rings, because whoever comes up in the NBA Finals and makes rings and stuff like that. So I mean, it's one of the criteria that I have. It's not also.
I got two people shaking their heads right now. So Freddie, what's going on?
That all-time 5 list was horrible, horrible. But I mean, it's Ray. But I'm just applauding to get LeBron. I was totally shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna start for number 5 on down. Number 5. I'm going.
I don't want to cut you off real quick. Before you start with 5, I want to know, before you get to your 5, where you're putting Kobe. This is about Kobe right now. And then I want to hear your 5.
I have Kobe number 2.
Okay.
Number 5, I have Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard to ever lace it up. Okay. Number 4. I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who can clearly be the greatest player of all time. Clearly.
You got to put that Lakers jersey before you go all Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next topic. We might as well just go into the next topic.
You have 2 Lakers already.
Number 3 is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is I'll see you right. I'm telling the truth. Michael Jordan was the dog, man. He was good, but he played in an era where he didn't have no competition to go against.
No competition.
No, the only competition.
Didn't he go against Kobe?
God, that's
the only
competition. Hey, hold up. Michael Jordan played in an era that he got beat down by the Detroit Pistons.
Bad Boys.
That's the only competition he had, right?
And he didn't play against
New York.
He didn't play against Larry Bird.
Yeah, Jordan was old, and they wasn't winning championship.
And he was still dogging his ass.
Can't say that.
Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. I believe Karl Malone took a couple MVPs from him.
Bro, I'll answer. I'll get to my point when I get down there. Number 2 is Kobe Bean Bryant, the greatest Laker of all time. The dude played 20 years for the same team. The dude that played through injuries, no matter what, he sweat, bled basketball, had the Mamba mentality. And number 1, GOAT James. Why do you ask who GOAT James is? Why do you ask that, Ray? I'll tell you why.
Oh my God!
At a young age, LeBron James had teams stacking the deck to beat.
Hold on.
No.
He got all Lakers except for Michael Jordan. He has all Lakers except for Michael Jordan.
Hold on, just for the record, you taking LeBron as a Laker as number 1?
Of course.
LeBron all time, no matter what.
As a Laker.
No, just LeBron.
Okay.
The reason why I got LeBron because at a young age, Cleveland the first time he had Boston had to stack the deck to beat a young LeBron. KG, Paul Pierce, Rondo, Ray Allen had to stack up the deck to beat LeBron. Then you had to set the Detroit team. Then you had Dallas. Then you had the San Antonio Spurs.
And Dallas beat LeBron.
Hey, but still, they had people. He always had people to build dynasties to beat
Jordan.
Freddie, can I ask you something?
Who beat Jordan in the NBA Finals?
It don't matter. A bad boy Pistons team. That's the only team that gave him trouble.
And how many times has LeBron gone to Game 7 in the NBA Finals?
Well,
how many times Michael Jordan gone?
You had to go against Ray. Exactly.
Hey, Freddie, can I ask you something real talk though? Like no bias stuff. I kind of hate when you say that. Just when you say, like with Boston making these dynasties to beat a young LeBron.
Yeah.
Is their sole purpose to win a championship or to beat LeBron? Because I don't think when they make that super team, it's we got to beat LeBron. This is gonna.
No, you're wrong about that, Mike. You're wrong, but you know why you're wrong about that?
Wait. So right now, the Brooklyn Nets are doing that to stop LaMelo Ball, the next young kid, right? That's why it is, right? Not to win a championship. That's
it's still LeBron.
Hey, I got one more question here. Is LeBron stacking the deck to beat everybody else to get his championship to match Michael Jordan?
Pretty sure he is, right?
No.
Yeah.
How about the Heat stacking their team to beat the
Mike?
Let
me answer your question.
So LeBron stacking to beat Luka, right?
Mike, let me answer your question. Okay. Yes, it is to beat LeBron because we seen LeBron Miami team go against OKC, and guess what? Kevin Durant couldn't beat a LeBron James. We seen LeBron go against the Golden State without a Kevin Durant.
That's years.
Listen. I'll let you talk. It's my turn, okay?
Yeah.
Listen. We seen the Golden State. They should have beat Golden State the first time, and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving didn't get hurt. So the second time when LeBron James' team was healthy, but going against a 73-win team against the Golden State, probably one of the greatest teams we've seen in basketball. We've seen LeBron beat them. So I don't know who typed that in the comments, but okay. So what I'm saying is KD, all them guys say, you know what? We can't beat him by ourselves. Let's team up to beat him. And we've seen a doggone same thing in Brooklyn right now.
Now, well, let's go back real quick, though, because LeBron could not do it in Cleveland. Everyone remembers how he ripped his jersey off against Boston.
With a horrible team.
Exactly, with a horrible team. And he stacked the deck with Miami, and he still couldn't do it his first year in Miami, and he couldn't do it in his last year in Miami. He won 2, lost 2 in Miami.
Yeah.
Went back to Cleveland to go play with Kyrie. Won 1, lost 1. And now he bailed on Cleveland to go play with Anthony Davis in LA. There's no one in the history of the last, I'll go 2 decades, maybe in the history of the league, who has tried to stack his own team more than LeBron James has.
And don't forget, he had the coach fired in Cleveland.
So why wouldn't
every coach fired?
He's playing against a horrible team in Cleveland. Like when he was in Cleveland first, it was a horrible team, and he taken him to the deep playoff run.
Hold on.
Michael Jordan was without Scottie Pippen. He was getting bounced out the first round.
Yeah, but Jordan go out to the front office and fire people.
See,
nobody want to say that.
But he stayed though, right?
He stayed because the team got him everything he wanted, Mike.
Yeah, LeBron didn't wait long enough. You don't know how long LeBron could have had to wait.
So wait 8-9 years in the league? Please, make it out here.
Look what LeBron did with Cleveland and how he acted. And look what AI did in 01 with the Sixers. Did he rip his jersey off? No. We're talking about basketball players. LeBron stopped and cried and ripped his jersey off.
You want to go Philadelphia? You really want to go Philadelphia?
What did AI do?
AI did not want to share. He didn't know. He was like a Russell Westbrook. All he cared about was stats.
What? Okay.
Yes.
So listen. Did AI cry after that? I mean, did he stop and complain and go to another team?
Clearly, championships didn't matter to him. He was too much.
So we didn't trade for Mutombo for a reason.
Clearly, this.
What was the trade for Mutombo for then?
Kukoc. They brought in Tony.
What do you mean? It means we
AI mindset was not there to win championships. AI was scared about his stats.
Hold on. Did you see the overstep on Lou?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're telling me he didn't want to win that game?
He did. Same thing. Russell Westbrook.
That's hard.
It's not hard. Sometimes
it means
it's like Russell Westbrook.
You live and you bleed on the field.
You got to learn how to
different. Westbrook can't.
No, he's not different. He's just like Allen Iverson, just like him.
AI 6 foot.
I'm talking about their game and their mindset, Felix.
Yeah,
when you talk about a dude, when you talk about, I seen Russell Westbrook in OKC.
I agree that he needs the ball. I agree with that.
No, you don't even about to say.
But look who he's playing with.
It's his fault.
Tyrone Hill. No,
it's his fault.
No, he's not bitching and moaning. He's not crying about other players.
It's his fault.
He's handling his business.
They said, okay, you don't want to share the ball? We'll put you some all-time great defenders around you, and we'll give you the ball.
How many times was AI free agent?
All-time great defenders?
How many times was AI free agent in his career? Not once did he ever say, I'm going to go play with Tracy McGrady.
Well,
he never said, I'm going to go play with Vince Carter.
After we traded him to Denver, he was a free agent, I believe. But since he got drafted until, what was that, 06?
Yeah.
He was.
I will give AI this, though. He's the only player. Remember that year? I believe it was like 01 or 2000 Lakers that went like on a crazy playoff run,
and they won.
He did get a game out of them. He's the only one
that was the Tyronn Lue game.
But man, I'm just saying, bro. Like you got to say, I've cared more about his stats a lot of the times more than anything, bro. All I'm saying. Like he's a great player. It don't take away from his talent. But Russell Westbrook the same thing. Like he goes out there to average a triple-double every night. I mean,
think AI had to do what he had to do to win the game. And without him, we wouldn't be nowhere near the final.
And see, the difference between, Kobe started to be like that, but Kobe knew what it took to bag off of that.
Kobe had Shaq, too. Don't forget about that.
Allen Iverson carried the city of Philadelphia on his shoulders,
on his back,
and with his heart. His heart bled Philadelphia.
But there was a time where Kobe Bryant did the same thing.
For which city? LeBron did it for which city?
What city?
Ooh. Yeah, what city did LeBron do it for?
Cleveland.
He left Cleveland.
No,
twice.
he didn't. He
rolled out of Cleveland twice.
So this is what y'all saying. You guys say, you know what? You're the player. You need to be loyal to a franchise. You need to stay to that franchise.
No, you don't.
The franchise is not going to be loyal to you. That's what you're saying.
I'm not saying that. No. What I'm simply saying is LeBron stacked his lineup for the last 10 to 15 years, every single season, the way that you said teams stacked up to play.
And let me ask you a question. Was the Lakers not stacked back in the day?
They were, but it wasn't built the same. It wasn't done because Magic Johnson said, "I'm going to go play with every single other star."
What about when they got Kareem?
Kareem came with the Lakers.
Kareem was there before Magic.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came with the Lakers from Minnesota to L.A.
When have you heard of a player
he got traded
to play with somebody else?
Over there. And then what about Karl Malone and
Those they were draft picks. They
was not. No one. They was Karl Malone when they went to the Lakers. That you're trying to go get a championship.
Stockton.
No, it was.
Okay, you're talking about 2004. You're talking about
it was
Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. They tried to go to get a championship.
Okay,
so this has happened before LeBron's era.
Very big difference. Two guys at the end of their careers had one season left. Payton went on one more to go play with Miami. But Malone had 1 year left and wanted his ring. He knew he wasn't getting it any other way. And that was his one chance.
Why haven't y'all mentioned about Kevin Durant when he went to go join a 73-team win team and go to state? Everybody wanted to join LeBron, but nobody wanted to mention about Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no, because he's not on our top.
We're not comparing him. We're not
on our top 5 list, dude.
It don't even have to be a top 5 list. No matter what, y'all don't bring it up. You don't bring up what he tried to do this year when he went out to get Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge. When you talking about having a James Harden.
Aldridge retired.
But still, they was all stars.
Personally, I hate KD.
Yeah, back in the day.
About it.
All right, so we're straying away from the Kobe talk. So I want to stay on the Kobe talk. So Mike, I want to jump to you. Okay, yeah. I got their top 5 in the NBA. I want to know from you where Kobe ranks as a Laker.
As a Laker all time, not top 5 of all time.
Not NBA, as a Laker.
Number 1.
Okay, so who are your top 5 Lakers, and why are you putting him number 1?
I got Kobe at 1. First, I just want to get it out of the way. I got Kobe at 1 because Kobe not only gave his heart and his everything. Kobe gave his mind up. Kobe gave his free time up. Kobe gave every single aspect of his life to basketball and never once blamed others for what he's doing. He tried to improve you. He tried to get better. He never forced his way out. He never forced people to get out. I mean, there's the Shaq situation, but I mean, it is what it is. That happens. But for me, I got Kobe at 1, just strictly off that point that, when you think of, and me, I'm 21 years old. When you think of somebody in basketball, growing up, you shoot the piece of paper in the trash can, everyone screams Kobe. When you think of LA, I think of Kobe. That's what I think. Whether it's,
you know what it is? I just came up with it. My bad. I don't mean to interrupt. You know what it is? How old are you again, Mike?
21.
Who was in the finals that year?
Of which year?
The year you were born.
Oh, Kobe.
You know whose name Kobe was saying when he took a rolled up piece of paper and shot it into a garbage can?
Yeah.
Kobe.
Jordan.
Yeah, that's who I got.
Okay.
Who's your number 2? Number 3, 4, 5.
2, 3, 4, 5. Honestly, you could flip it any way. I completely understand it. At 2, I got Magic. Just because he's one of the best to ever do it at the position. Complete game changer. You got to have him at 2. You got Wilt. I got Shaq up there. I've always been a huge Shaq fan. Never gonna buy a pair of his shoes in my life, but I love him to death. And then gonna be honest, and I'll give it to Freddie. If and only if this man wins the finals this year with the amount of talent they got, I'll put
That's
LeBron
disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
I'll put LeBron at 5.
Well, hold on a second. I know. I hope you're saying it's disrespectful because you left.
Ain't no top 5, no Lakers.
You left Kareem Abdul-Jabbar off the list. All-time leading scorer in the NBA. You left him off the list.
I did, and I understand that. I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely disrespectful on my part, and it's not meant to be that way. But it's meant to be from my era and the people that I see personally. Now, I'm not saying like this is the solidified, like, you know, if it came down to it, who I'd put on that list. But me personally, I think if LeBron could go back-to-back titles, you win it after Kobe dies, you do all these other things, you do all these other accolades, and you still have 2 years left on your deal, or I forget how many years it's left on his deal. Depending on what else he has left to do, if he could win 2 to 3 on there and go down as possibly one of the GOATs in the league, I mean, you can't say, oh, I had one of the GOATs in the league on my team and he's just not on my top 5.
You see, the thing is with that, you just sort of contradicted yourself. And,
right.
Because you weren't alive for Magic. I wasn't alive for Magic, but you based on saying that I haven't seen him, you shouldn't be putting Magic on there either.
No, right. But what I'm saying is like back in Wilt, it's kind of a different era, like Freddie was saying, or not.
No,
Freddie,
I agree. But what I'm saying is if you're going to put LeBron on there based on what you said, then you should put everyone in your era.
No, yeah, I hear you. But like, hey, if it was top 6, I definitely have Wilt on there. I'd rather have all of them on there.
KGB, yeah.
Listen,
would you throw Anthony Davis on there at that point?
Hell no.
Nah, not yet.
Listen, man, let the Laker fan talk, man. How Kobe number 1, 20 years for the playing for the Lakers, winning 5 championships, the MVP, the All-Star, the all-team defensive team. I mean, everything. He's like, this dude brought winning to LA. Like, he brought that Mamba mentality. Number 2, it has to be Irvin Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard of all time. I mean, you're talking about Showtime Lakers. You're talking about a guy that played at center and then in the finals, you know, and then switch back to point guard. That's unbelievable. Number 3 has to be Kareem. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has the most unstoppable shot of all time. You're talking about a center, Kareem, who did it in the collegiate level as well as the NBA. He has to be number 3.
That's right.
Then you have to bring in. You need to talk about Jerry West, what he's able to do with him and Wilt. And then you can't forget Shaq. You know, I mean, Shaq was, you know, the big diesel. He was the most dominant big man of all time. But I will say this: in order for LeBron to get in this top 5, he can't win 2 championships to get on there. That's not acceptable for Lakers fans. For LA, you have to do a 3-peat.
Ray, I see you got something on your mind, Ray.
Well,
you should be proud of me.
What?
You should be proud of me that I put LeBron in my top 5.
What's interesting is how
I'm going to tell you what. When I look at the Lakers, I look at the Showtime Lakers because that was the era I watched basketball. That's the era I grew up in. I was born in 1972, so I came through the 70s. I came through the 80s. You know, Showtime Lakers was a thing. But I'm gonna tell you what, Magic Johnson was the man. He's the number 1 all-time Laker. I'm sorry, you can't put Kobe up there right now. You know, up with him because Magic was the man. He can play all 5 positions for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he played all 5 positions. And if it wasn't for Magic Johnson going to center to play when Kareem got hurt against the Boston Celtics, that was one remarkable game, him playing center.
Yeah.
You know, so to me, you got to put him number 1. You know, Magic Johnson is going to be number 1. LeBron is nowhere near in my top 5 for the Lakers.
And
nowhere near.
And he should
because he hasn't played for the Lakers long enough.
No.
You can't jump over the all-time greats of the Los Angeles Lakers. Only playing a couple years. He's only been with LA for 2-3 years.
This is his 2nd year.
Yeah, so you can't put him up there because right now he hasn't brought any championships to LA except for one. So last year.
Oh, I was about to say.
So he's got a while to go before he can break even close to what Kobe had with the Lakers, what Magic had with the Lakers, because them 2 right there alone had 10.
Right.
I will say this though, Ray. There will be. I don't see nobody for a while bringing what Kobe brought to LA. Like I think Kobe's the most loved Laker of all time. Like,
right. and that was my point. It was kind of like one of those things where it was like it wasn't just what you did individually. It was what do the people of LA think when they think LA basketball. You know, I know Magic. You know, everybody will always know Magic. Everybody will always love Magic. I know Freddie does because he helped him get LeBron.
And I will say this. We see who have more power in that organization. Kobe had more power in that organization than Magic Johnson. We seen Magic Johnson get hired a few years ago.
Well,
why did Magic Johnson leave? Because Kobe was involved. Do you think Rob Pelinka has that position because he's just that great of a GM? No.
I'm gonna tell you what, for Kobe, I'm gonna tell you what, for the Magic had the power with the Lakers all the way up to Bus. To a certain point in Bus's career, and then when they got Kobe in there, Kobe kind of turned over that leash from Magic to off Jerry, Bus. When Bus died, then his daughter took over. Now everybody is just trying to jump in there, trying to override her. She doesn't have really control of that organization right now. Pelinka, LeBron, they all got control of that organization right now.
Well, you're wrong about that, right? Because
I'm right about that.
No, you're not. Dr. Jerry Buss and Magic was very close. Like Dr. Jerry Buss was like a father.
To a certain point, when I'm gonna tell you what their relationship got strained when he started going out and doing his entrepreneur stuff. Got away from the Lakers for a while. Didn't do anything with the Lakers organization for a while. Opened up these movie theaters. He went and got part owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he was doing his own thing.
He was still getting advice from Dr. Jerry Buss, though.
He was close, but I mean, Kobe took over that role when Magic stepped back for a little while. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's what made Kobe the most important Laker in that franchise.
Kobe had enough clout to push Shaq out.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on as we wrap up our Hall of Fame talk. Let's move on to one other Hall of Fame announcement that happened yesterday, and that was the 2021 finalists were announced. It's interesting, you guys. We're all talking about Bill Russell because a huge accomplishment happened for Bill Russell last night. He's the first individual to ever get inducted into the Hall of Fame twice. He's going in as a coach. But the three key players for 2021: Paul Pierce, Chris Webber, and it was Ben Wallace, and Pierce, Webber, and Wallace, and Chris Bosh. That was the fourth one. One of the main names that was left off was Tim Hardaway. So before we get off to Tim Hardaway, to me, Pierce and Ben Wallace, absolutely hands down, no argument there. But Ray, what are your thoughts on this year's class coming up?
Well, I think they got it right, and I think Ben Wallace is now the first undrafted NBA player to get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's an achievement on its own.
And as a defensive player, solely defensive.
Yeah, I mean Ben Wallace wasn't drafted; he was unsigned. He was an unsigned, undrafted player. So I believe this class got it right. I mean, I know certain players got left off, but you got to include Paul Pierce, you got to include Chris Bosh, you got to include Chris Webber. I mean, Chris Webber, even though he got that bad rep for calling the timeout in that championship game in 1993. 92 with the Fab Five.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something about that game real quick. I'm sorry getting off the topic, but I want to give something about what people don't understand about Chris Webber. They all blame Chris Webber calling that timeout, but it was assistant coach on the sideline gave Chris Webber the idea to call the timeout. If you go back and slow it down, they showed that timeout with the guy with the assistant coach on the back of the bench sitting on the timeout. That's why Chris Webber called a timeout. Point blank. But Chris Webber, his NBA career, if you look at what he did with Sacramento, what he did with the Golden State, but to me, I think Tim Hardaway was, he was that good, but I know he's left off, but he's probably going to get back in there. But to me, I think Paul Pierce represents the Boston Celtics, and then Chris Bosh. If Chris Bosh didn't show up in Miami, I don't think they would have won the championship, even though they had LeBron James.
But does that make you a Hall of Fame player, though? Because what else did he? I mean, he was the third piece on that Heat team.
Well, yeah,
he rode that wave.
Yeah, I don't know. That right there could be a question to me. But the other two, Chris Webber and Paul Pierce, hands down, they were top of that. But I think Chris Bosh, you could make a case putting Tim Hardaway over Chris Bosh.
I agree.
I think it all depends on the rings.
That's part of what they did with Chris Bosh because he had rings and stuff, and Tim Hardaway didn't.
Yeah.
But Chris Webber does not have any rings.
But Chris Webber's a big name. Tim Hardaway. He's a more bigger name than the only one you could take off this whole list is probably Chris Bosh.
I agree with you.
You couldn't take away Chris Webb. You couldn't take away Paul Pierce.
And you can't take away Ben Wallace. I think Wallace is the most deserving next to Pierce.
But see, Wallace,
I could agree with that.
If Ben Wallace didn't play all that defense, that championship, that could have been a disaster.
They still would have won. That Detroit team was stacked. Rip Hamilton, Chauncey.
But you got to have your defensive. He played them key roles in getting your rebounds and helping you start up breaks and stuff.
He was the heart and soul of that team.
And if it wasn't Ben, and like I said, like he said, he's the heart and soul because Ben Wallace played hard every night. Absolutely. Ben Wallace will give you all, and if you didn't give you all with him, I know they haven't showed some of the highlights, but if you go back and look at some of the highlights, Ben Wallace was getting on everybody on that bench.
So is Tim Hardaway a Hall of Famer? You say that you think he'll get back in. Why do you think he should be a Hall of Famer? Because to me, obviously the run TMC years of the early 90s, he had a decent run for a couple seasons in Miami, but what else? Like, what did he do for the game of basketball? He also was one to consider for his defamation statements that he made, kind of outed himself, at the end of his career.
And that's part of what handled him getting into the Hall of Fame too.
Right. So is he really a Hall of Famer? I mean, you take away the crossover and whatnot, is he really a Hall of Famer?
Well, it all depends. I mean, that era, he could be because he played in that one. He played in that strong defensive physical era. I mean, he had to come up with some moves to get by. I mean, he was getting overblown, overpowered. So he definitely came up, and I think to me, I don't know if you consider him really a Hall of Famer, but certain aspects of his games does provide some instillability for him being in there. But I mean, it's just I think his extra more off the field, his statements and stuff has hounded him for getting in there. So Chris Bosh, if he didn't have the championship with LeBron, will he really be in the Hall of Fame?
So I'm gonna throw a name at you, okay? Is Tim Hardaway more of a Hall of Fame candidate than Penny Hardaway? I know Penny Hardaway is injury plagued, but Penny Hardaway did a lot more for the game of basketball from 93 to 98 than I think Tim Hardaway did his entire career.
Yep, I can say that. And I like Penny. I'm like Penny.
And Penny will not make. I don't think Penny will make the Hall of Fame.
Because I think him. Well, if Grant Hill makes it, made it. I think he can make it because Grant Hill was more injury prone than Penny Hardaway was.
They both are. All right, so let's move on. The next subject with the awards coming up in about a month. Let's just jump through the main ones. Mike, this year's MVP.
Chris Paul, easy.
Why is that? Over Jokic, you're going.
Nah.
I will go over Jokic just because there's kind of been somewhat of a slowdown with him, but I also think it's more of an impact kind of award. I mean, Jokic, without a doubt, carrying the Nuggets right now. With Jamal Murray out, no question about it. But from the Suns to be as historically bad as they've been in the last 10 years and to go from one of the worst, aside from the bubble, which you really can't count because you know how crazy the bubble was in general.
Hold on, get Freddie back in here if the bubble don't count. Hold on.
No. I don't mean the whole playoffs. I just mean that little run they went on.
Right. I got it.
Felix, you were the first to shake your head no. So why not Chris Paul?
Because Jokic is doing way too much. He's doing everything right now. I mean, for me, I thought it was Embiid in the beginning.
Yeah, I did too. Until that injury.
That injury set him back.
And then the injury, and then once Murray went down and Jokic stepped up, it's a wrap after that. I mean, he's doing everything. That's why he's slowing down because he's literally doing everything.
Right.
Everything. So Jokic deserves it hands down.
No, yeah.
I'm a Sixer fan.
Since the first week of the season, I talk about Jokic every show. He's just
as you should, bro. I mean, he's an absolute dog. But for me, it's one of those things where it's like the instant impact that Chris Paul made and the instant influence he's had on others on that team. I mean, we got guys that weren't shooters that are confidently shooting the ball now because they know, Chris Paul is feeding them good reads and they're getting these good shots off and they're actually going in. I mean, I think it's honestly it's a total game changer. Not that Jokic isn't. I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of, who is most valuable, if you look at it, Jamal Murray's still on that team. You got Aaron Gordon, who's, he is what he is. He is what he is. It's whatever. I'm not huge on him. But Bulls guy, so Zach LaVine all day over Aaron Gordon. But it's just one of those things for me. It's just Chris's instant impact and the actual fear in the West now. There's so much more competition because of that. Not that there isn't with Jokic, but it's just deep, man. And I'm a big CP3 guy, so I have to give it to him.
Ray, do you have someone other than Jokic and CP3?
Well, you can look at Joel Embiid, the way he done for the 76ers. He's their heart and soul. He makes that engine go. He makes Ben Simmons better. He makes all of the teammates better. I mean, he's just unbelievable. So I have Joel Embiid, up there in my top 3. I have Chris Paul at number 2 and I have Joker at number 1. So that's my top 3 right there.
You don't got Julius Randle up there?
Well, I have him at number 4.
Yeah.
But
see, the thing with Randle is he very well should be, but he's not going to be.
Oh, definitely not. But he deserves it.
He's not going to be.
Right.
He's like the guy he's like the guy that won't make it, but he's on the ballot. You know what I mean?
But Julius Randle could win the most improved player.
Oh, he will. I mean, that hands down. I don't think there's anyone even close.
It's a robbery.
But to me, Joel Embiid is he's just that person that you can't guard him. He's unguardable. And I mean, look what he did to Anthony Davis. He put Anthony Davis straight on his butt. And Anthony Davis played point guard. He played point guard in high school, so he has a point guard mentality, Anthony Davis. So Joel Embiid just put him on his butt. And I mean, he's just unstoppable. I mean, I think if team is going to play the 76ers, even though you got the Brooklyn Nets with all these players, Joel Embiid is going to be the factor, and they have nobody can guard him. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump to the next main category is Rookie of the Year, Felix. Who do you have?
To be honest with you, I'm like in the middle of a couple players, but I don't. It's close to me. I mean, I don't.
Is it one of those years where there's going to be a co-Rookie of the Year?
I think so.
Who's your co? Who's your co?
You can say it, bro. I know you want it.
No.
I'm waiting for it too. I know who one of them is. So who, LaMelo and who?
Oh man. The thing is, I don't want it to go to him, but it's gonna go to him. You know what I mean? I'm not a hater, but the thing is, he doesn't represent what's wrong, but everything around him does. If you get my drift.
I know.
So I don't want to throw people under the bus, but I don't like where he came from and who was around him, because that's what made him big. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But his game is way better than his brother, and he deserves it.
He did deliver a lot more than I think anyone expected.
Well, he delivered what his brother couldn't.
Yeah,
that's the best example you could have right there. He's what Lonzo should have been.
So, the man from Charlotte. Do you have a rebuttal, or you sticking with that?
Oh, for the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
LaMelo's got my. Look what he did. Come back off the injury. Throw an underhand pass to an alley-oop pass to a breaking Miles Bridges coming off that injury. That's with his injured wrist. That's what he threw it off with.
Yeah.
So to me, he's already had it when he came back. He solidified it.
Yeah. Felix, who was your who? So if it is a call, who's your second?
I mean,
don't say
it. I'm just gonna leave it at Melo, man. Just give it to Melo. Just give it to Melo.
Fair enough. All right, so let's move. We got a lot of basketball going on this time of year, but we're gonna try to get to some of the other topics. But before we do, real quick, with play-in starting, before we even get to the West, let's just talk East real quick. Let's take the Sixers and the Nets off the board. Who's the best team in the East?
Got to be the Bucks.
They could not get past Miami last year, and they had the same.
That's last year. They upgraded their team. Bledsoe's not there anymore. They got Drew Holiday. I think Holiday's better all around. I think he plays better defense. And I'm a Sixer fan, and we let him go. So
right.
I think they're a better team. I think the Greek Freak's playing more now. He's taking threes now, improving his game. Miami, if anything, they got older. And, I mean, if Oladipo was there, I would say something else.
Right.
But
Miami lost a lot when they lost Crowder to Phoenix.
Yeah,
that was a big piece of their heart and soul. And now they're playing without Oladipo. They traded Olynyk, he's gone. They traded who was the other guy in the trade?
What's his face? Oh my God, it's blanking.
Big man.
I know who you're talking about. It's the kid from.
Kelly Olynyk.
No, it went with Olynyk.
Yeah, it was a two-player package.
It was a two-player deal. So they're down in theory 3 guys from last year's finals team.
Right.
And Olynyk is out too. So I'm not even looking at Miami. Ray, this Knicks-Hawks matchup has me real excited beyond just being a Knicks fan. I think it's the most exciting matchup in the East right now. Yeah, what's your take on it? And who's coming out of it?
I think New York's coming out of it with it. I think Atlanta's still, you got Trey, was that guy from Oklahoma, the point guard? Can't think of his
Trey Young?
Yes. They got him, and then if you can really shut him down, you really shut the Hawks down because the Hawks drives off of him. If he's not making shots, the Hawks are not that good. I mean, to me, I think New York has a better team all around. I think Julius Randle is going to be a man in their matchup. I think the Hawks has nobody can guard him. So, to me, I think New York is just an all around better team.
I've got my fingers crossed because this is the most exciting I've been as a Knicks fan, even more than 15 and 2000. This is the most exciting I've been as a Knicks fan since 98.
So this is where I stand with that, and I can't wait to watch it. The Knicks are the better team, but the Hawks look better on paper.
Definitely.
True.
And that's where it's sort of like, oh man, like they can win, but then you also know the Knicks are better. They have more. They play consistently better. They have more. They're a better team all around. But think about John Collins. You think about Trae Young. You think about Huter. You think about all the shooters that they got. I mean, they could be.
They got some big men.
If they're coached right and they play, if they get another shooter, and they could make shots, man. They could beat anybody if they coached right and they, But the thing is, they look good on paper, man. If you tell me I could coach that team, I'm be like, oh my God, what's stopping me? You know what I mean? What's stopping me from winning?
Well,
and then you see how they play together, and you're like, oh, all right.
Okay, so you guys mentioned how Julius Randle is in the MVP conversation. So when the ref throws that ball up for game 1, who's the best player on the court for that? Right when the game starts, is it Trae Young or is it Julius Randle?
It's Julius Randle, hands down.
Yeah.
And I'll say that strictly because Trae has yet to find that defensive presence. And even though his shot from 3 is great, he's got amazing handles and I love all that, he's still really young. Julius is kind of at a point where he understands what it's like to be down. Let's be real, he's been down bad before. I mean, when he got signed to the Knicks, I remember you guys saw Stephen A. Smith was so upset. He thought he was getting Kyrie and KD, and nobody was excited to get Julius Randle. So he went into the lab. He gets his own bag. He gets everything figured out. He just spends the entire offseason and during COVID, the shutdown, just perfecting his craft. And he's at that ready where he's ready to win now. For Trae, this is kind of more of a learning experience for me. And it's one of those kind of early stages in his career where it's great development. And like you said, this Knicks team, I'm a Chicago fan all day. With Tibbs, you got Rose, you got all these young guys being mentored by guys like that. You have Taj, which, he's not very effective, but he's a great mentor. With those guys leading the way, with Randle being an MVP candidate, I don't see any reason why they can't go up against the best.
Again, their coaching's better too.
Thibodeau,
Tibbs, and that's
Tibbs
what I think did it. that's what I think did it, because Randall, he was around the league a couple times. Remember, he was drafted by the Lakers, I believe.
Yeah.
And he went around, he played for a couple teams, and he never really had solid coaching. And I think this is the first solid coach that he had. And he stepped up.
Right.
Absolutely. So now I want to go into the West real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on the West because we're going to still have a lot more to talk about. Is this play-in most exciting matchup between the Lakers and the Warriors than any of the other potential playoff matchups for the first round in the West?
Personally, I don't think so.
Who's your matchup?
I couldn't name a specific matchup right now, but for me, a lot of it's LeBron versus Curry again. It's going to be a great matchup. And if Clay was there and AD and LeBron are both healthy, I think that's an amazing matchup. You know, you also got guys like Wiseman, you got Wiggins, and you got Drummond and Schroeder and Harrell and all of them. That's an amazing matchup. But without it, I mean, it just doesn't feel the same. I feel like Steph is, you know, like you said earlier when we were talking about AI, he is putting this team on his back right now that he hasn't had to do in years past. So it just doesn't have that same feeling to me of Cavs Warriors. You know what I mean?
Ray, who's coming out of this at the end? Is it going to be Phoenix? Is it going to be Utah, LA, or someone going to surprise us all?
I got Phoenix.
Ray, who do you get?
Well, my thing is if Freddie's looking at the Lakers come out, the Lakers are gonna have to play more games than anybody else because they're playing that play-in game.
Yeah,
and they're on an older team. So are they gonna be really able to match up all the way up through how many games they're gonna have to go through to get to the NBA Finals? So to me, I'm looking more as Phoenix because Chris Paul is moving that team, way he is the coach on the court, the way he can move the ball around, the way he makes other players play, and if you don't play up to his standard, he'll get on you. So Phoenix has a good shot. I'm not sold with Utah because we don't know how Mitchell and them are going to come back off the injury. So we really don't know how that's going to snig up. And to me, I think Utah peaked a little bit too early in the year. So to me, I got Phoenix coming out.
Felix, what about you?
So Phoenix reminds me of what we just talked about with the Hawks. They look good on paper. Yeah, they're playing well now.
Yeah,
but let's be honest. What experience does Booker have? None. Right. What experience does Ayton have? None. Mikal Bridges, right? Mikal
Mikal
from Villanova. Yeah. No playoff experience. Zero.
Right.
Zero. And Chris Paul never was deep in the playoffs. Never that deep. So that's why it's hard for me to take them at all. Like, I get it. They could give you a good matchup here and there. They look great on paper.
Yeah.
They look great on paper. If you give me that team on like 2K, okay, yeah, we might have some good time.
Right, we could run.
But in real life, I don't see it happening. I think not Phoenix. Utah is going to get better. They're going to get healthier. And listen, they're in first for a reason. They play solid D. They make the shots. They do. And again, they got new coaching, better coaching. Look what coaching does to a team. Where was Phoenix last year? 4th or 5th? I mean, not Phoenix, Utah. 4th or 5th?
I think 5th. Yeah, somewhere
in that range.
And look what happened. Just coaching. No new players.
Sure.
Just coaching. So that's why I don't have Phoenix up there. I have Utah.
Right.
I think Utah's going to go, and I'm hoping for my Sixers to go. And
how far do you think this is the last basketball question, but how far do the Lakers actually go? Unbiased.
Second round.
Second round.
Second round? Okay. Fair enough. All right, so we're going to jump into baseball right now because if I spent the entire hour and a half on basketball, I'll never hear the end of it. So we're going to jump into baseball real quick. We're about, I'd say, 6 weeks into the baseball season. Does that sound about right, guys?
Month and a half.
A lot of big names traded uniforms this offseason. So we're talking booms and busts. I'm going to throw some names out there, and we'll go round table on this one. Start with you, Ray. It's completely random. Francisco Lindor.
I think he's more, to me, I really haven't watched it.
Just say it. You know it. We all know it.
It's okay to say it.
But just say it, man. Is he worth the money?
No. My opinion, no.
Okay.
He's not worth the money.
I agree. All right. Felix, what is going on with Blake Snell?
Well, I think, the hype got up with him, and, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, some people can't, keep up, but it is what it is. Again, he plays for Tampa, right?
So, no, he's on San Diego now.
Oh, San Diego. Why was I thinking Tampa?
He was on Tampa.
Oh, okay.
They screwed him over.
Like I said, man, it all depends. San Diego should be better. They should be better. What is their record? Like 24-17 or something?
Yeah, they're in third place in that division right now. The Dodgers in, I think, second.
Yeah.
And then the Giants are in first. Giants to me are a surprise team out in West.
Sorry about that.
Completely.
The Giants, man. The Giants. Who thought the Giants?
So seriously, the Giants have been incredible. Crawford has been killing it for me.
When I picked on full count, when I picked the baseball for that division, I had the Dodgers, Pirates, and then had the Giants at number 4. But I didn't think the Giants would jump all the way up and be number 1 right now.
Right. It is early, but I'm shocked at the fresh start.
They got Gabe Kapler, and then they're beating the Dodgers and the Padres in standings. That's ridiculous.
So Mike, let me ask you a question. George Springer and the Blue Jays, is that just a string of bad luck and he'll be fine? Or is this now 6 weeks in, he's played 3 games?
Right. I think for me, and I'm Chicago fan for sure, but Blue Jays are always been one of my second teams. I just love, the culture in Toronto and all that. For me, I've been following this team for a very long time. They have a lot of depth in that outfield. I think there's a lot of unknown and untapped in talent, and just the presence of George Springer, I think, is going a long way without a lot of people knowing. I think it's super early on, and I think the Blue Jays will be fine. I think this is more of a long-term situation. As long as he's completely healthy by July, August, September, etc., you're perfectly fine. If this starts lingering later into the year and possibly going into October, you have a problem.
Fair enough.
Well, let me say something about the Blue Jays. If they play the Braves, they're undefeated.
Yeah.
They're
a good ball. Bo Bichette, I love the kid. You can't hate Vladdy. You can't hate Bo. If George Springer could get healthy, that's a big 3 right there.
When he was healthy for those 3 games, he was nice.
Don't forget about Biggio. Biggio.
I said Biggio. That kid's a dog too. Yeah. And they got Simeon and all of them. I mean,
Guerrero.
They got a great spot. If George can get there and be who he is, without the Astros stuff going on, be perfectly fine.
All right, Ray. Lance Lynn.
Nah, I can't bite off him right now. That's just something about him. It doesn't sit right.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's just
Corey Kluber.
Who, me?
Yeah, Felix. Corey Kluber.
Yeah. It's a little bit underwhelming right now for him, but he's still on the Indians, right?
No, he's on the
Yankees.
He's on the Yankees.
I didn't even know
Felix
that he was
missed
on
the whole year.
I missed the whole year. Well, he's on the Yankees?
Yeah.
So I guess he's not doing that well then.
No.
No.
I had him on my fantasy. I damn near killed the man.
So let me jump to Ray and Mike. Has he been a bust for the Yankees? For both, took both you guys. Boomer bust on Kluber.
I wouldn't call him a bust just because of his age and what you signed him to do. He's not one of those guys that you're not asking him to be Garrett Cole. You're not asking him to be any of the other top guys in the rotation. I mean, it's just been disappointing. You know what I mean? It's like it was kind of a risk reward kind of situation to start off. So I mean, it could get better, but it is what it is, really.
It's a bust right now.
Yeah.
It's just a flat out bust.
Last one, Ray, I'm going to go to you for Trevor Bauer.
You going to me?
Yeah.
I say he's not a total bust. I say he's good right now. He's marginal, but he's not that where they should have him at. Where he compared to what he did last year. But to me, if the Dodgers don't get in first place and they lose out trying to get into that and don't make the World Series, then he's going to be that one point that they're going to say that trade was not worth it because he damaged the team.
You know, it's interesting, and this is something that I've noticed year after year with these big names is that they don't replicate what they do in their previous cities more times than not. And the 8 guys I just named, and it wasn't on purpose. This was completely just, the 8 guys I felt were the biggest names moved.
Yeah, but when talking about pitchers moving from team to team, it's also the pitching coach that they had at that team. They might know his strength a little bit better than what this pitching coach really knows. Not really. He's when they go to a new team, it takes them a little while to make that pour with that pitching coach. So, I mean, at his first year is here for the Dodgers. Maybe next year will be a little bit better.
Right.
I mean, do you think Cole wasn't nearly as good as a Yankee as he was an Astro?
Nope.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But for me, it's also Cole also had the resume with the Astros to go into the Yankees. It's one of those things where, I mean, not to discredit it, and I hate being that person that says that, but for the MLB, for 60 games, especially when you're a starting pitcher, I forget how many actual starts he had. It was like 12, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Yeah. To go on a 12 or 10 to 12 game stretch where you look elite, that's great. But with no spring training, nothing to go into this with such a weird year, you can't really be disappointed in him and not being what he was, because I didn't really expect him to be that based off of his resume with the Indians.
So, not as a free agency or offer trade, who's been the biggest surprise in baseball? Who's been the biggest offensive and biggest pitching surprise in baseball right now to you guys? All of you just feel free to shoot out some names here.
Me being a Phillies fan and seeing what I saw the past couple of years, and you guys might not know who he is or whatever, but Vince Velasquez.
Yeah.
He was a 4th overall pick by the Astros back in the day, ended up getting hurt, becoming a bust, and the Phillies traded for him maybe like 2-3 years ago. And this is the best, I think, 4 or 5 game stretch that he had ever. I think a sub-3 ERA or something like that. And he's striking guys out. He's putting the ball in play, a double play ball. And I'm shocked. And I mean, I'm happy with Wheeler. Don't get me wrong. I think he should be our number 1. Nola should be our number 2.
Yeah.
And then Vince should be our number 3 at this point, because I mean, I've never expected this. I'm always looking at him at like a 6+ ERA.
Where do you have the ceiling for Alec Bohm? What's your ceiling for him?
Oh man, he's turning into Rhys Hoskins, man. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's ice cold.
I agree. Ray, wait. Who's your surprise? Pitching or hitting?
Then my hitting is Alexander Bogaerts played for Boston. He's batting at 344.
Yeah.
If you look at him, what he did, what he's doing right now, it's unbelievable what Boston has changed from one year to another. And like I said, when Alex Cora came back, when they got their manager back, Boston is now playing. They had that hiccup in Baltimore at the beginning of the season when they lost 3 straight. So when they got on the rhythm of winning, they ripped off some wins. But it's all because Alex Cora has come back, and I think that's why Bogart has come back and played a little bit better than he has this year. I think Alex Cora put him in the right position to bat, and he's now kicking off. And you're seeing his potential kind of kicking off right now. He's batting 344 right now.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. So, Ray, I've been looking forward to this all week to bring up to you. You got your Jacksonville Jaguars have a new tight end. How excited are you?
Well, I know a lot of people put in the thing about Tebow and Colin Kaepernick and all this stuff, but Tebow didn't go as a quarterback. He went as a tight end. So, I mean, it's a little bit different realm here, but, to me, I think he was more built. They brought him in more of a leadership to Trevor Lawrence to manage him off the field issues and stuff like that. Make sure he don't get no off the field issues. Make sure that he projects as a clean professional. But, you got to understand, Tebow and Urban Meyer had that good relationship at University of Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but
they said, hold on. Let me say something before you say something here. If you went down, I got a sneak peek when he went and they had him try out for the team. I was doing a stadium tour and they showed us the practice. Tebow looked unbelievable at his age. But you got to understand, he was out of football. He played baseball. So he didn't take the big hits like he normally had, like people have going up. So his body's still a little bit fresh.
Right.
But he kept himself in good physical condition. But, he was catching the ball left and right. They were throwing it to him. He's a good athlete, but I don't think he's going to be that elite tight end for us. I think he was just put on the roster. He's got to make the roster first because he's only got a 1-year deal. He's not guaranteed a roster spot, according to what Urban Meyer has said on the press conference. He has to earn that spot. So first he has to go through the training camp to earn that spot. So to me, I don't think he's elite tight end. I don't think he's going to help the team. I just think he's there for leadership purpose.
So is this a publicity stunt because they could have just signed him as a coach on some level?
Maybe it could be. Maybe he could be the priest. Give him the thing going out on the field. I mean,
real quick. I just want to know why they didn't sign him as a quarterback.
Yeah, why not as a quarterback?
Because he's not going to do anything.
He's not.
Because he stinks.
Tebow cannot throw the ball. He's not a good thrower.
You. At least you're being honest.
Tebow is only an option running quarterback. And then when he played the read option into the NFL, that's what they used him for. He's a good athlete. He can run, but he was not made fit to play the NFL quarterback. I'm sorry.
Right. Listen. Coming from an outside source, okay? Nobody's taking Tebow's job. Who on the Jaguars?
We don't have a tight end.
Exactly.
We don't have a tight end.
He's gonna
I can tell you that we don't have a tight end.
There's no way he doesn't make the team. Who's gonna cut Tebow over who on the Jaguars?
Nobody. I mean, right now we only have a rookie that we drafted back from Oklahoma, Fluker, back in the 6th or 7th round.
Right, so, but what I'm saying is there's nobody that's going to be a bigger name for you to take over Tebow. So Tebow's going to make the team.
That question is, though, and it lingers. Tebow, it's a great story. Like everybody says, you've seen the memes. Trevor Lawrence passing to Tim Tebow. Don't go on ESPN for 3 days because that's all.
7 days. 7 days.
Well,
is he going to stay healthy, though, is my thing. You're taking hits from Bobby Wagner and guys like that at some point. Tim Tebow's going to get laid out. I love the guy. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's going to stay healthy at all.
No. All right, so Trevor Lawrence throws his first career touchdown pass on a little L route to Tim Tebow. Who has more media post-game at their locker?
Tebow would. You got to understand, Tebow is a Jacksonville native. So the media loves him here in Jacksonville. I live in Jacksonville. Every day on 1010 XL is Tebow this, Tebow that, Tebow this every morning. It's they had the morning show. The guy from our local news station who's a sportscaster. Every morning he does his intro. I'm glad to have Tebow. I pray for Tebow. I pray for this. I pray for that. I have to even turn off the sports radio here. I can't listen anymore.
How many chances does he have? I mean, holy moly.
Yeah. What year was he drafted by Denver?
He was drafted by Denver.
Yeah.
What year? What year though?
2000. I want to say
12 or 13.
Yeah,
I think longer than that because he's been out of the league for about 6 or 7
6 years. He was out of the league for 6 years.
Yeah. So he hasn't played since 15. So he's been drafted 11.
You think 11?
Remember, what was that year that they beat Pittsburgh? What was that year when he threw that pass to Demaryius Thomas and Demaryius ran it in for the touchdown?
That was one of his good 3 games.
Tebow was drafted in 2010.
2010. Okay.
Wow.
2010.
So that game probably happened around 12 or third.
I think that game happened in 11. I think it was his second season.
Yeah.
So 2011, and then he went.
He went to the Jets
and then he played on the Eagles.
And he was a Patriot for a season. The last time he played, he was a Patriot.
And
so he hasn't done anything at the quarterback. So that's why I'm asking: is this more of a publicity stunt? Is he a legit tight end that no one knew about? Because he tried to be a New York Met for the last 4 years. So where did this come from?
That's bad.
Right.
He didn't make that roster. He ain't making this one.
No,
is he going to be a better Jaguar or then he will be a Met?
Never even was.
No,
he didn't get out of
AAA for the Mets.
Yeah, never. He was.
Let me ask you this: who stole more money, Bobby Bonilla or Tim Tebow?
Bobby Bonilla.
I don't know. Tim Tebow didn't do anything.
Yeah, but
Bonilla played and hit some.
Bobby Bonilla's got a day
in the big leagues. In the big leagues.
Tim sold jerseys though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the minors, Tim sold jerseys, sold seats.
He sold tickets.
Yeah,
that's why. But I'm saying he's still on a player Wilson on contract.
You talking to a person that I really don't. You know, I never liked Tebow when he was with the Gators. You know,
you didn't like that Tebow Hernandez combo.
No.
Don't forget about Riley Cooper.
I'm a Tar Heel fan. I was born in North Carolina, so
I am too.
I was born and raised a Tar Heel fan. So, you know, to me, Tebow here is going to be more selling. They're selling season tickets. They're trying to keep. Basically, what is happening here is Jacksonville has to get I'm not getting much money here locally, so that's why they play these series in London, because they get the revenue from over there in London to mix in here to keep them here in Jacksonville. So Shad Khan uses that to bring business here into Jacksonville. And whatever, you're not selling local tickets here like you are overseas, because you sell out used to be Wimbledon Stadium. You sold them Wimbledon Stadium out every time the Jacksonville Jaguars go over there, it gets sold out. So we get that revenue here. Home games, if Jacksonville is bad, they don't sell out. They maybe sell about 30,000 tickets. When Tebow's here, because he's a local native, all season ticket holders for here are now on a waiting list.
So you just answered the question. He's definitely making the team then.
He's gonna make the team. I knew he was gonna make the team. And this stuff to him saying him trying out for the team and stuff, it's no way, because he's a local kid.
Right.
He's gonna bring the local fans. He's gonna bring back the local kids. That's what That's what Jacksonville is trying to do, is bring back the family.
Hey, Ray,
bring back the Lord. You go ahead.
I was wondering, and it's kind of unrelated to Tebow, but it's with Jacksonville. They got Travis Etienne at wide receiver lately. How do you feel about that?
Well, he's been working on his hand. They've been working on his hands since he got drafted.
Right.
Because his hands are not very, wide receiver like. So they're going to use all this miniature rookie count right now. They're running all the plays for him at wide receiver. I think it could be a good move, because we already got a good running back.
Right, you got Robinson, don't you?
And Robinson can play all three downs, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. But the only thing Robinson don't have over ETN, he's not a threat to break one big. Right. Robinson's good for 20 to 25 to 30 yards downfield. Somebody's going to catch him from behind. ETN, you get him the ball. If you miss one tackle, he's gone, and nobody really going to catch him from behind. So if you basically when they're moving him to wide receivers, putting him in space, he's going to be like a Percy Harvin type deal. You put him in space and let him do his job in space.
Again, they took him because he has history with Lawrence.
With Trevor, yeah. I mean, they're like best friends in Clemson.
Well, when they drafted the way they brought it, way Urban Meyer said it here to us in the stadium when they drafted Trevor Lawrence, he came out and said that don't be surprised if we get somebody with him, because they want somebody that Trevor Lawrence is comfortable with here.
Yeah, so I called it months ago. It was easy to see it.
So
I mean, can't hurt, right?
I was listening to XM radio, and they were talking about how the Jaguars are trying to get T. Higgins down there too from the Bengals.
That wouldn't be bad at all.
So I don't know what they have to give up. I don't know what they have to give up, but getting Clemson down in Jacksonville, that's what it seems like.
With Tebow going to Jacksonville, does this make Kaepernick's case any stronger? I don't want to turn this into a whole Tebow versus Kaepernick conversation, but does this make a case for Kaepernick for all that he said over the past 6 years stronger?
Let me break this down with Kaepernick. I'm not going to be this. Some of the stuff I agree with him, some of the stuff I don't. I don't see eye to eye everything, but when NFL had a tryout for him in Atlanta, and he requested the tryout, so he requested the city, so they put it in Atlanta. They put it down where he requested it. But when he did the hyenas and went to a different place, almost 3 or 4 hours, so the owners couldn't get there to watch him, I think that really upsetted the owners. I really think it made his case a little bit harder to get back in. I see him might get back in, but the best bet, the only team that really could fit his mold to keep him squared away, I think it would be Tomlinson and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I could see that.
No way. No.
Tomlinson is the only one could keep him. He might get, but I'm talking about keeping his.
They got enough
vocal,
problems with Dwayne Haskins, though. That shit ain't happening.
No, hold on. You're talking about Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh. It's too cold out there for a running quarterback. He's going to get hurt. He has to play in a warm climate where if he gets hit, he could shrug it off.
But Tomlinson's the only coach that understands his beliefs and stuff. So.
I definitely agree with that. But my thing is, and it's not to be like the guy questioning it, but it's for me. For Tim Tebow, you hear Tim Tebow go out there and vocally say all the time, I want to be a Met. I want to be in the NFL again. I want to be this. And I know Colin would like to be in the NFL, but he hasn't really advocated for himself either. I mean, he's happy if he's back, but he's also, I think, very content on what he's doing now. I think he's, with all the social activist stuff he's doing, it's one of those things where I definitely think he could make it. As a Bears fan, I mean, up until 2-3 weeks ago, I was questioning why the hell we had, Mike Glennon and all these other guys.
Dalton.
And Colin's just sitting there. And I understand he's older. And, towards the end of that career with the 49ers, they were horrible. The whole roster, up and down. And, Colin did take a lot of bad plays with that. He had a lot of bad games against very bad Bears teams as well. So I was watching a bunch of those games where I'd go, I wouldn't want Colin. For me, though, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't hear Colin voice that. I mean, I'm sure his camp, you always hear his camp voice it, but Colin himself, I think if he just advocated for himself more and took more of those risks, like he does in, with social justice and all that, I definitely think he could be in the league. I just don't know if Colin truly wants to be in the league to play or just to be back.
But also, don't forget, his best year was 2012. That's 9 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Does
he even want to be back? Because his best days are behind him.
And he played 3 years after that Super Bowl, and he was already strongly on the decline.
Right.
So we're talking about a guy who hasn't played also in 6-7 years, who didn't do anything in 6 or 7 years. Why does everyone think he's just ready to start at behind, the center? I mean, I don't get it.
It's like, and who thinks, and to even say like, oh, I know for a fact Colin wants to be in the NFL. Has anyone heard him say that? Has anyone heard him say, I want to be here? Like he said, he's perfectly fine with whatever it is. He would like to be back, but he's not advocating, preaching to the choir that he is ready to be a QB1 right now. I don't think he even knows what his role would be.
Now, let's remember before we get even deeper into this. Tebow was a first-round pick.
Right.
Colin was a second-round pick.
Right.
He was picked behind Andy Dalton.
Yep.
So they already thought that Dalton was better than Kaepernick.
Right.
Before he even played in the NFL.
Definitely.
Same thing goes for Tebow. And that's where this conversation ends in my book. If they didn't think he was good enough, and now he obviously, he stepped down. It is what it is. If he really wanted to do something, he would show up to voluntary workouts, bust his butt, and do what he has to do.
But he doesn't.
But he's not doing it.
He's making so much money off the field now.
Exactly. There's no sense.
Right.
There's no sense.
I think he'll gladly take the publicity for it to be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to come back, just because of all the hype and all the media that gets brought into it. But I don't think he legitimately needs or feels the need to be back.
Think about it.
To me, I feel like if he would have gone to that workout that they had all set up for him in Atlanta, instead of doing his little stunt that he had, he would have been back in the NFL because there were some team more. But when he pulled that stunt and took that thing about 2 to 3 hours where these guys couldn't get there to him in time to watch him practice and did his own little makeshift thing, that showed me that he didn't want to really be back in the NFL. He just wanted this publicity and give him more money and more accolades at what he was doing.
Right.
So, like,
I was really excited. I was thinking, if you're going to take him for anywhere after the draft, looking at it, I could see him going on the Broncos, fighting for that number 2, number 3 spot. No, but you got, the culture there wouldn't fit with him. But I'm saying there are spots where people would take him. But if he's not advocating for himself, they're not going to go out of their way, especially with what Ray said, how, they do make a camp, they make a training thing for him, and then he switches it last second so none of them can show up, and it's a private stunt at some high school. It just doesn't make sense.
Again, his best year was in 2012.
Right.
And
Drew Lock is horrible. That's my only point.
Well, they got Teddy Bridgewater down there now, so I'm sure he's going to start.
Yeah,
but think about how old is he now? He's got to be in his 30s now.
I think
obviously.
He's like 33 or something.
So I don't see him being a running quarterback at that age.
He wasn't in 2015 anymore.
But that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. He can't run anymore. He's not a solid passer. Otherwise, he'd be more accurate.
He was never a solid passer.
Exactly, and I don't think he could take a hit.
I don't think
so. That being said, I don't know why people still want him to get a job. Well, even if he does, and then he gets hurt, who's getting blamed then?
Absolutely. So we are running low on time. Before we do get to bring it, there is one topic that I wanted to get to real quick because I think I'm just as shocked as I think the rest of this world is. But there's a reason why I'm wearing this jersey this week, which is my Dennis Rodman number 91 jersey. Mr. Rodman turned 60 4 days ago. I can't believe it. I don't think he ever thought he could make it to 60. So first of all, happy birthday to the Worm. I want to know, he was my favorite player growing up, but I want to know your guy, what's beyond being the greatest rebounder of all time, what's Rodman's legacy on the court? What's your favorite story of Rodman's off the court? I want to hear your guys. Everyone's got to have a Rodman, some sort of Rodman memory. Let's start with Ray.
Okay. My memory is when he played for Chicago, when he went up against Karl Malone. And he said this a couple of times on things that he used to play with Karl Malone's butt. Every time Karl Malone posted him up, he pinched his butt. He played with his mind. And that's why Karl Malone didn't really do anything against him because that's what Rodman does. And then he did one. I don't know if they have a clip of it, but he did turn around with him and he grabbed his private parts right in his hands.
He took mine.
That was yours too?
I'll come up with another one.
But I mean, to me, Dennis Rodman was coming in his own. He was starting out with the Detroit Pistons with the Bad Boys, and he was that physical guy, and you didn't want to go up against him. But he was small. He was that small stature, but he was that person determined to get in your head, and that's what he did. I mean, him and Bill Laimbeer and John Solly right there. Those two will, if you come in the lane, they were going to put a punishment on you. And that's when Jordan had to go out and hire a private trainer to get him stronger so he could get past the Pistons. And to me, they were wearing Michael Jordan down. They were just punching every time he go in the lane.
Absolutely. And Rodman was an all-star. People forget he was an all-star with the Pistons.
But I mean, Dennis Rodman had this candid attitude to change his hair, made all these styles, play with people's mind, and then he fit in with Chicago because Pippen and Jordan could handle his abilities. What he was doing, his off the field stuff, going to Vegas, coming back for the game, stuff like that. And they didn't. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen didn't try to control him, but they control him on the court, and that was a little bit difference for there. But when you play Karl Malone, when you did all these antics to Karl Malone, start rubbing them and stuff like that. And then they had a wrestling match against each other.
That was great. It was the WCW with Hulk Hogan and who's on
Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas Page. That's right.
But see, when they did that match, the Chicago Bulls were still in the playoffs. They left.
Right.
They left to go do this match. But everybody was getting on Rodman because he was leaving. Phil Jackson knew about it. Michael Jordan knew about it. Scottie Pippen knew about it. They all agreed. Go ahead.
Rodzilla.
Because if you try to control Rodman will take that on the court and will not play 100%. They knew if they didn't control him, he would come out and play 100%. And when they came back and him and Karl Malone started playing these little mind games, and Rodman got the better of him.
Felix, hit me with another story. Is it the headbutt? Is it the kick to the nuts? Give me one.
I remember the kick to the nuts. I remember watching that game, and I'm like, "Oh, what is he doing?" And it's so. I grew up. I was born in '86. I grew up in the '90s, and he was the most unconventional player ever in any sport. The yellow, the green hair. The tats, the earrings, everything, his unconventional style, everything. And everyone just thought he was crazy and nuts, which he was. But think about it in today's day and age. How would players be able to handle that?
Everyone's tattooed in the NBA.
Right.
And a lot of guys color their hair in both leagues.
Right, but
not like Dennis Rodman, though.
Not like Rodman. No. Not his attitude. Not his persona.
No, it was more. It was his character.
But think about what Ray's story. Like, the way Ray said his story. Imagine that in this day and age. That would never. In this profound day and age, it's crazy. But that kicked in the nuts, man. That had me dying.
And that cameraman faked his way to a paycheck.
Oh man, but
it wasn't even close.
Have you seen one since?
No.
Okay, it's one of a kind, man. And then that
was all inner thigh.
Probably. But then when he married Carmen Electra and then divorced her a couple days later.
Hell yeah.
That was pretty good too.
I was thinking this the other day. He's got to have Wilt beat.
Oh yeah.
He's got to have Wilt beat easily.
Most definitely.
Him and Magic.
Yeah.
He got him beat.
Magic got him beat and a little something else too.
Well, listen. I'm sure he had something too. You know what I mean?
Oh, no question.
All right, Mike. What's your Rodman story?
For me, and it's like I said, born in 2000. Totally, I hate it. I hate it every time I think about it. How close I was to missing that era, being from Chicago. But I grew up on it, and I learned every single part of it since I was little. And for me, it wasn't even, me. When I played sports, I was always a defensive heavy player. I was always one of those Rodman type of guys. I may not have been the most athletic, but I did my part. But the most thing that intrigued me about Rodman was when I would always listen to interviews, and I'd always that was more important to me than watching the tapes. And just hearing his ideology on what made him a great ball player. And for me, it was the way he went about things. When that ball went up, he knew every angle, from every point of the rim. When that ball hit that certain specific shot, he knew exactly where it was.
He was doing math. He was
doing math when everybody else was just trying to jump high. And that's what really intrigued me the most about Rodman. And I think it's the intelligent part that not a lot of people talk about. They all talk about Madonna, Carmen Electra, which, hey, hands down, that's awesome. I can't even hate on you, bro. Do your thing, WWE and all that stuff. Him having the hair, the guns, all of it. But for me, he was so much more intelligent than I think people thought. And it was the math aspect, like you said. This man was playing chess when everyone else was playing checkers. And he wasn't the most gifted. He wasn't the tallest guy. He wasn't the biggest guy. But he definitely manhandled you, and he'd go out of his way for any of those guys with Jordan and Pippen and any of them, even with the bad boys. I liked his role more in Chicago because they treated him more like a player than just a bully than they did in Detroit. But, that's what I loved about Rodman is because I really never would have thought that. You know what I mean?
Hold on, Ty. I don't want to interrupt you, but are you telling me
Go ahead.
Rodman manhandled Malone?
No, I'm just saying he manhandled a bunch of guys.
No, I'm just messing with you.
He may have done that on a little bit of something else, but.
All right, guys. So we are going a little overtime, but this wouldn't be Bring It if we all didn't get a chance to bring it. So, Felix, you go first tonight.
All right. The playoffs are set up. I don't care who the Sixers are playing. They got the number 1 seed. They shouldn't have any issues up until the Eastern Conference Finals. At that point, we should, whether it's the Bucks or the Nets, we should be good to go. We should be ready, and we should be in the finals. No questions asked. I don't want to hear about Ben not shooting because we got to the first seed without him shooting. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Finals, here we go. Bring on the West.
Probably would win the finals if he could shoot, though.
Yeah, we would have won 2 rings by then, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike, bring it.
Jimmy Butler, playoff MVP is my thing.
Wow, that's a bold statement. I don't know about that.
Had to do it.
But hey, it's your bring it. Ray, take us home, man.
Mine is, I'm glad my Charlotte Hornets is back in the playoffs. It's a long overdue. I think Melo is coming back, play good, being rookie of the year.
Come on down.
I'm ready for it. I think the Hornets about maybe 1 or 2 more players away to be consistently back in the playoffs consistently.
Yeah.
But understand where I come from. I'm a kid that was born in 1972. I'm a kid that saw Elvis alive, saw Michael Jackson, saw Prince alive. And then now I watch Michael Jordan play from high school all the way up to pros. I watch Magic Johnson, James Worthy, the Showtime Lakers. So to me, and when the Hornets came in 1988, and when George Shine took the team and moved them out of Charlotte, put the black hole on the Queen City. Now we got the Bobcats back, now the Hornets back, and Michael Jordan. People that say he's not a good owner, but I think he's done what he needed to do to get the team where he's at right now. So I think he's in that right direction. He's in the right mindset. So I think the Hornets are here to stay in the playoffs.
Awesome, man. I agree. And you know what? They got to give some sort of reward to Rozier because he's just been unbelievable this year for them. I don't know if they saw that coming.
You think he did more for them than Kemba did for Boston?
I think it was more unexpected.
I think it's a fair argument.
I think Rozier did more for the Hornets.
I think the expectations on Kemba were much higher in Boston than the expectations on
that goes to show you, like, he plays better with less talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
guys, go ahead, Ray.
You look at what Rozier's done with Charlotte and what Kemba did with Charlotte, and then Kemba went to Boston, and now look what Rozier's doing from Boston to come back here. So it's the role reversal. I think the offense for Charlotte fits better for Rozier with Melo in the lineup and putting Rozier that shooting guard. So you got to equal 2 ball handlers in the backcourt. So I think it represents. I think both of them made it. I think I would like Kemba stayed in Charlotte maybe, but Kemba wanted to go because he wanted to win a championship. He thought he'd go to Boston. So I think it's a win-win for the Hornets.
Well, it's not happening in Boston this year.
Nope.
That's for sure. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I think we could have easily gone another 2 hours. We all brought it, and I am looking forward to seeing you all again next week. Until then, guys.
Later.